Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, over here for the Daily Blob, where we talk about how Ukraine is using new and innovative tactics and strategies in order to win the war against Russia. And today we're going to be talking about how they're using scalping to fight back against the menace that's attacked their country. Really? Really? They're using scalping? I mean, I guess that can bring in a little money, but is that enough money to fight a war against Russia, right? Like using bots to buy Taylor Swift tickets to then sell those tickets to someone else at a higher price. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't bring in money. A lot of people do that type of scalping and they bring in a lot of money doing that. But is that really enough money to buy tanks and APCs and all of that? Oh, not that type of scalping. Oh, you mean the other type of scalping? Oh, golly. Oh, golly. Oh, you thought 2020 was bad. Remember when we all thought 2020 was bad? We were like, can't you wait until 2020 is over and we can get out of this dumpster fire? Oh, my friends, it is only getting worse. I have had some viewers ask. They're like, Eli, you're talking about technology. Why do you always talk about so many of these grim, depressing topics? And it's like, well, because I don't know. I find them interesting. I find them funny. There's two types of people in the world. There are people in the world that have been through the debriefings where the commanding officer reminds you that the citizens of the normal world probably will not find your humor as funny as you do. And there are the people that haven't been through those debriefings. It's called desensitization. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, so this is fascinating. I think this is fascinating from both a technology front, but also from that whole managerial, supervisory front. One of the things I really want you to be thinking about here with the Daily Blob is the whole idea of how do you actually implement technology. A lot of the other tech gurus out there, or the tech people out there, right? They talk about bezels, and they talk about speeds and latencies and that kind of horse crap. But one of the things I want you to be thinking about here is, okay, like even if you have the fastest system in the world, even if you have the best system in the world, how are you actually going to implement it so that it is useful and brings better outcomes for your organization, whatever your organization may be? And that's what I kind of think is interesting here talking about this story. So one of the big things we've been talking about with the Ukraine war is the whole introduction of drone warfare, right? First person or these FPV drones, right? Basically connecting artillery shells or connecting grenades or thermite or whatever to these damn things, flying them into enemy positions and then blowing them up. And so that's been a big thing with this war. Apparently, I think Ukraine is going through tens of thousands of these things per month. I forget if it's like 10,000 a month or 100,000 a month. They're going through a tremendous number of these little munitions. And it's an interesting concept of, right, if you buy a tank, right, the idea if you have a tank, you shoot artillery shells and you kind of shoot them over that way, and you kind of sort of hope you kill people. The idea being that you can shoot enough artillery shells at the end of the day that it makes up for the $5 million cost of the tank. And the curious thing is when we start talking about these drones is, well, what if you have a $200 drone with I don't know how much I have never purchased grenades. I do not know how much they cost. $50? I don't know how much a grenade costs. Anyways, you attach a $50 grenade to it, you now have a $250 weapon system that you can deploy to pinpoint accuracy. So at what point does it make more sense to buy $5 million worth of these drones with individual grenades versus one tank? One of the things I've been warning certain folks in the world for a little while now is what happens when a generation of young people that don't like you say, hey, what about Grubhub for a grenade? But one of the things I want you to think about is, like, when I say Grubhub for a grenade, right, that's only the elevator pitch. Anybody can make that elevator pitch. The problem is, how do you deploy it at scale? And that becomes, a curious issue, because if you're going to have, individual soldiers delivering these grenades, red hot, right out of the oven to your doorstep, right? It gets to be tiring. I used to be a pizza delivery driver. And let me tell you, going around and delivering pizzas, you know, some nights we'd be so busy, I'd have to do like 10 deliveries per hour going to all these places. You come in, you grab the pizza, you put it in the car, you figure out your routing, you go to here, to here, to here, to here. It gets really exhausting. And so think about that. If you were delivering grenades to the door and you're in a war zone, you're just doing this again and 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 again. Think about how fundamentally exhausting that is for the soldiers. And so one of the things you need to think about is from a managerial standpoint, from a supervisory standpoint, how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep the bloodshed going? And this is a real question. There's a good book out there you should definitely read called On Killing. Read it years and years ago. Basically the idea is that most human beings do not want to actually kill other human beings. I think it's been a long time since I've read the book, but it was talking about it like during World War I. During World War I, every time a soldier fired their gun at the opposing side, it was like only 10% of the time did they actually try to hit somebody on their side. That many times, right, you had all these people in these foxholes, right, these trenches. Many times, both sides, the bastards were shooting over the other person's head. So for their own command and control and all that, they wanted to throw lead down range to prove that they were a soldier and they were doing their part. But oddly enough, like in their brain, they didn't actually want to kill the other people. So you had so many of these trench line battles going on for fucking ever, literally as the soldiers were on both sides essentially firing over each other's heads. And so that's not very useful. That's a waste of ammunition there. And so in On Killing, it talks about how into the Vietnam War, they got up to a targeting rate or whatever, something like 65 to 70%. Actually training soldiers to actually shoot the damn enemy. And by the Gulf War, they got it up to something like 90%, right? But that's one of the big things is literally you can give a soldier a weapon. You can put a soldier through basic training. But if you don't train them properly, they're not necessarily going to be willing to kill when it's required, right? You know, I think about this with my basic training: blood, guts, guts, guts. What makes the grass green? Blood, blood, drill sergeant. What makes the grass grow? Guts, 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 drill sergeant. Right? I still have the instinctual, right? You do the stab, you do the uppercut, you do the butt strut. Yeah, so it's stab, then you bring the butt, you hit them in the head, you pound them in the head with the other side, and then you slash down. Like it has literally been decades. It's literally been decades. And that is still muscle memory to me. If you give me an M16 or suppose an AR-15 in the civilian world, I could do this shit all day long because they pound into your head these techniques. For when you need to butt stroke somebody, you just butt stroke. You do not have a philosophical conversation on whether or not you should smack that motherfucker in the head. You just smack that motherfucker in the head. Anyways, so this is kind of interesting. Coming out of Ukraine, kill Russian soldiers, win points. Ukraine's new drone scheme, Gamifying War. So basically, they have these first-person viewer drones in order to motivate the people that are controlling these drones. They are now coming up with a point system. The other thing to be thinking about too is, with employees, like soldiers are employees. Our employees are employees, and employees are always going to do weird-ass shit. One of the big questions in life is how to get the employee just to do their fucking job sometimes. And so anyways, right, employees have motivations, bosses have motivations, all of that kind of thing, right? So basically, if you tell a soldier that they have to basically send 10 drones downrange and kill something, many times they'll send 10 drones downrange and kill whatever the hell is easiest. Right? They will smack the shit out of 10 Russian privates and call it a day. Well, here's the thing. What if there's like 10 Russian privates, and then like right behind the 10 Russian privates, there's like a multi rocket missile launcher, and there's some kind of, anti-drone system or whatever else. And you're like, Why didn't you hit the rocket system? You know, if you hit the rocket system, that would have been much more valuable. I mean, like, killing another private's really not going to do much for us. I was like, tired. You told me to blow up 10 things. Motherfucker, I blew up 10 things. Be more specific in the future. So one of the things with this point system is, what if you can put points, right? You get 1 point for a Russian private, you get 50 points for a missile launcher, I don't know, you get 100 points for hitting a helicopter or something like that, and then you give people gifts afterwards. You know, it's like Chuck E. Cheese. It's Chuck E. Cheese. Oh my God. We are now in a world where when we talk about warfare, it's like, yeah, you remember Chuck E. Cheese? Yeah, like imagine that with bombs. Oh, yeah, Chuck E. Cheese with bombs. Oh, yeah, so you used to get little tickets from the skeet ball thing, and then you go and you get your little bracelets. It's like, yeah, only think about bombs, and you get cooler things than bracelets. Oh, we are in such a fucked up world. It's fascinating. Look, if you can't laugh at this, I don't know what to tell you. What was it, the one guy I watch on YouTube? He always wears this shirt. What was it? Live, Love, Toaster Bath. I love that. I love that shirt. I need to get a Live, Love, Toaster Bath shirt. Because it's like, you either find that funny or you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, I love that. Live, Love, Toaster Bath. That is gonna, I'm gonna get that t-shirt, next t-shirt. Anyways, the images come in every day, thousands of them, men and equipment being hunted down along Ukraine's long contested front lines, everything filmed, logged, and counted. And now put to use too, as the Ukrainian military tries to extract every advantage it can against its much more powerful opponent. Under a scheme first trialed last year and dubbed, quote, Army of Drones bonus, also known as E-points. Oh, we live in such a fucked up time period. Units can earn points for each Russian soldier killed or piece of equipment destroyed. And like a kill streak in Call of Duty or a 1970s TV game show, points mean prizes. Quote, the more strategically important and large-scale the target, the more points a unit receives, reads a statement from the team at Brave One, which brings together experts and government and the military. Quote, for example, destroying an enemy multiple rocket launch system earns up to 50 points, 40 points are awarded for a destroyed tank, and 20 for a damaged one. Each uploaded video is now carefully analyzed back in Kiev, where points are awarded according to a constantly evolving set of military priorities. Quote, I think first and foremost it's about quality data and the mathematics of war and understanding how to use limited resources more effectively, says the man behind the E-point scheme, Mykola Fedorov, I don't know, Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation. But after 3.5 long years of grinding all-out war, the system has another vital use. It's also about motivation, Fedorov says. When we change the point values, we can see how motivation changes. Fedorov's office sports a huge video screen with dozens of live feeds from Ukrainian drones flying over the front lines. Together, the feeds provide a vivid glimpse into Ukraine's drone war, in which commanders claim flying robots now account for an estimated 70% of all Russian deaths and injuries. The BBC reached out to more than a dozen units to find out what frontline soldiers make of the scheme. The responses were mixed. Quote, in general, my comrades and I are positive, said Volodymyr, a soldier from the 108th Territorial Defense Brigade. Let's see here. At a time when frontline units are burning through equipment, especially attack drones, at a ferocious rate, Vladimir says the E-point scheme is proving useful. Quote, this is a way to make up for what we lose while inflicting losses on the enemy as effectively as possible. The 22nd Mechanized Brigade, currently fighting in the northeast of the country, has had about 3 months to get used to the new system. Quote, once we figured out how it works, it turned out to be quite a decent system, said a soldier from the 22nd. Quote, our lads are worn out and nothing really motivates them anymore, Jack said, but this system helps. The drones are provided through the program and the lads get rewarded. It's a decent motivation. Fedorov says 90 to 95% of fighting units are now participating, providing a steady stream of useful data. Quote, we've started receiving quality information and making decisions based on it, he says. By collecting data, we can propose changes, but the foundation is always military strategy. So yeah, the Ukraine military is literally putting points on the heads of Russian soldiers and military equipment. It'll be curious to see how this goes forward, and also to think about the ramifications, right? As we get into more non-traditional wars, war on terrorism or whatever else, it'll also be interesting to see how this spins out into other areas, right? Could terrorist cells, you think about this with Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran or whatever, right? Iran has threatened to attack the United States. Now, many times when you think about attacking the United States, you think about rockets or missiles, hypersonic missiles, right? One of the things to really be considering is that whoever currently has power, military power, always wants to fight the way that they want to fight, right? So when we think about war, we think about hypersonic missiles, we think about nuclear bombs, we think about Abrams tanks, we think about our military drones or whatever. But you have to think about it from the other side. They don't want to go head to head with an Abrams tank, right? They can't defend against a nuclear bomb, and they can't really defend against a hypersonic missile. So one of the questions then comes up is how can they fight? Where are the chinks in the armor that they can try to go after you? And so an interesting question here is, with Ukraine proving that gamification works in war, what happens when you have Houthis trying to gain points for which kind of ships that they sink? Oh, you sunk a speedboat, you get 1 point. You sunk an oil tanker, you get 1,000 points. And then imagine if they get houses and benefits and all that kind of stuff on top of that. How does that change what warfare fundamentally looks like? And the other thing to be thinking about too is, in your business, to be thinking about what the KPIs should look like, key performance indicators, right? So for Ukraine, it's all about killing Russians, right? The KPI, right? You kill a private, that has a value to Ukraine. You blow up a multiple launch rocket system, that has a much larger value for Ukraine. One of the things to be thinking about, though, in this modern world is what's very curious is that most managers and supervisors still don't really understand the KPIs for their own organizations. One of the things that I warn a lot of tech employees about is most companies don't really know why they hired you. And that's not being snarky, and that's not being me being an asshole. It's true, right? They just figured they needed more people, and so they hired more people, especially during the growth phase. If a team lead says, I need one person, they might be told, hire two, right? You've been growing, you need one person, hire two. Well, you hire two people, you give them work to do so that they seem busy, and then both those people now feel like they're valuable to the company. The question might be, though, is does the team lead, do the managers, do the executives actually understand what value they expect out of those employees? And so one of the things to be considering when you have return to office, or if you have work from home policies, I think a big transition in the modern world is going to be really tracking the productivity of knowledge-based workers, right? So if you have a factory worker, basically however many widgets they process, that's very easy to track. If you have a warehouse worker, Amazon already tracks the hell out of them. One of the big things is, hey, if you're a web developer, or if you're a marketer, or you're a PR person, you haven't really been tracked that way. And I think what we're going to start seeing more is we're going to start seeing more people trying to figure out how to get to that single pane of glass when they're dealing with knowledge-based employees. And then the question will be is, how do you deal with that then? Do you create these KPIs? Do you create these kind of point gamification systems so that you can fire people? Or do you create those systems to get more efficiency out of the people that you already have so that they are motivated to do more and produce more for the company? I don't know. It's one of those things to ponder, one of those things to think about. So yeah, Ukraine is going for scalping. Going for the scalps. If you don't know scalping, you're not from the United States. That was during the French and Indian War. The French would pay the Indians to scalp the British, basically, and each scalp got them money. Literally, they go in, they're like, here's my 10 scalps, and they'd be like, here's money, or here's whatever product that you want. So that's basically what we had, again, for us. 250, when was that? I don't know, a long time ago at this point. And so it's interesting to see that being brought into the modern world. Think about scalping with drones. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Ukraine getting into the scalping game? How do you think this bodes for warfare and all this going into the future? And what do you think about this, in regards to your own company? Does your own company do an effective job of tracking the work that everybody does and actually knows how valuable individual employees are? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Do you think I should get the Live, Love, Toaster Bath shirt? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I love that shirt. I always watch that guy. I forget what his name is. Anyways, he's hilarious. Look, you either understand or you don't. I don't know what to tell you. Anywho, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, leave us an amazing comment or a horrible comment. Remember, in the YouTube world, it is all an interaction. Also, make sure to go over to silicondojo.com. We have another fireside chat that is currently getting lined up, plus many more that I hope to get lined up. So we go over to silicondojo.com. You can keep track of those. And with that, see y'all later.